People often claim that Stalin's purge crippled the Red Army, but is that really the full picture? Thousands of seasoned officers were removed, leaving the military stunned and disorganized. In the immediate aftermath, the damage was severe. Units lost their leaders, coordination broke down, and trust inside the ranks evaporated. Western observers concluded the Red Army was nothing more than a giant with weak legs. But history is never quite that straightforward. Stalin's paranoia had deep roots in the 1930s. He feared spies, internal enemies, and generals who might become political challengers. These fears fueled the purges, but they also fueled something else, an obsession with building power. In the late 1930s, the Soviet Union pushed ahead with its third five-year plan, pouring massive resources into heavy industry, steel, oil, and especially weapons. Massive undertakings like the Dnieper Dam showed a nation gearing up for war. Entire new industrial cities were constructed just to manufacture tanks and aircraft. At the same time, the Red Army was expanding at a staggering rate. From 1939 to 1941, its number of divisions nearly doubled, reaching millions of troops. Stalin formed mechanized corps with thousands of tanks, trying to compete with, and even outmatch, German blitzkrieg tactics. The scale was enormous, but the rapid growth created new problems: untrained officers, supply issues, and not enough equipment to go around. Defensive work was also underway along the freshly acquired western borders after the Soviet expansions in 1939 and 1940. The Molotov Line began to rise: bunkers, fortifications, and anti-tank defenses, though most of it was unfinished when war finally hit. Still, it showed Stalin wasn't ignoring Germany. Then came the technology leap. In 1940, the Soviets began mass-producing two tanks that would change warfare: the T-34 and the KV-1. Unlike Germany's Panzer III and IV, these machines had strong armor, powerful guns, and impressive mobility. When German forces encountered them in 1941, they were shocked. The Red Army possessed weapons few outsiders believed it could build. Yet Stalin knew industry and weapons alone wouldn't be enough. He needed more time, and he bought it through diplomacy. The 1939 non-aggression pact with Germany stunned the world, but it granted the USSR almost 2 years to grow, rearm, and reposition. During that period, the Soviets took eastern Poland, annexed the Baltic states, and fought the harsh winter war with Finland. That conflict was a disaster early on, exposing how poorly the Red Army performed under inexperienced leadership, but it forced Stalin to confront weaknesses. Reforms were enacted, equipment was improved, and the failures in Finland pushed urgent changes ahead of the coming clash with Germany. So if Stalin prepared so much, how was the USSR still taken by surprise in June 1941? The answer lies in misjudgment. Stalin never doubted Hitler's eventual attack, he only misread the timing. He expected Germany to defeat Britain first and believed Hitler wouldn't risk a two-front war. Intelligence warnings of an imminent invasion piled up, but Stalin dismissed them as attempts to provoke conflict. When Germany struck in June 1941, the results were devastating. Millions of Soviet troops were surrounded, thousands of aircraft destroyed on the ground, and entire armies collapsed. It seemed like proof that the purges had left the Red Army helpless. But underneath the chaos, Stalin's earlier preparations began to matter. Factories deep inside the USSR, far beyond German reach, kept producing tanks and planes in huge numbers. The T-34 and KV-1 became game-changing weapons on the battlefield. And even after catastrophic losses, the Soviet Union still had the manpower and industrial muscle to rebuild. By the end of 1941, the USSR had not fallen. Moscow remained in Soviet hands, and the Red Army, bruised but still fighting, managed to push back for the first time. That resilience came not from Stalin ignoring the danger, but from years spent preparing for a war he always believed was coming. Stalin's great error wasn't failing to prepare. It was believing he had until 1942 or 1943. Instead, the storm hit in 1941. And though the Soviet Union paid a horrific price, those years of preparation prevented its collapse.